So these things, these huge rock facies, that if you drive along Pendleton Road and Rhode Headlands, 1,000 years per millimeter out there. Okay, does that make sense? We're gonna have, can you guys grab another handful over here? So it also turns out, grab another one, we're gonna make it even thicker. It turns out that occasionally during those 100 million years or so, there'll be a storm that actually will send out enough sediments from the coast that'll come out from the coast that'll actually fall over this stuff. Does that make sense? That'll occasionally make it far out into the ocean. Usually it's not this stuff, this is sand. But it'll actually work its way out. Your light sediments will go out. So let's put some more on there. Come on, you just dump it on there. Just die and get it out there. Good, good, good. So you'll build up these deposits more. There we go, come on. Woo! Excellent. You guys are the best sediment deposits ever. Now we got sedimental journey now. So, grab us and give him a hand. Okay, thanks. Thanks a lot. So, these sediments went down at the bottom of the ocean. It took 100 million years to move off the side from 200 million years ago to 100 million years ago. And they get closer and closer. This would be North America. That would be Asia or Japan over there. And these things hit the continent. And when they hit the continent, it turns out the continent is much lighter, but it acts like a bulldozer. And so what happens, can you do me a favor? Can you actually slowly pull that? It turns out that the continent, oh, by the way, you can stop for 1 second. This, and I work for a group called the Teacher Institute. We show teachers how to do science activities with really cheap materials. Just want to let you know this is the Maruchan mountain range over here. So it turns out that what happens is this plate, you can dive it down. So make it go down, and you can actually go a little bit slower, that's good. So it turns out, stop. So the plate dives down underneath it. Does that make sense? It's called the subducting plate. And this stuff gets bulldozed over here, but not only that, but these, this mountain over here, you know what this mountain is doing, by the way? It's in a subduction zone, anybody know? It's kind of like Japan or New Zealand. These things, let's see how messy this gets over here. These are, hold on, Jesus, this is a volcano. Thank you very much. So these volcanoes get built up by these subduction zones, and these things are there for millions of years, and these things erode down. Does that make sense? So these things send sediments out the river systems towards the ocean, and actually, tell you what, grab some of this over here. Let me show you, I forgot about this. This here is chert. This is this material over here that got compacted. This is the dead critters that was over here. This white stuff, flour, is represented by this rock right here called chert. And so you can pull this a little bit more over here. Don't let the Maruchan Mountains fall. And it turns out that the sediments get washed down into, on top of this stuff over here. Does that make sense? So the layers go chocolate, flour, sand, or basalt, chert, and then this stuff that came off the continents. And the stuff that came off the continents, when it gets down there, it's usually kind of like a sand layer, coarse sands, fine sands, and that stuff, you ready for it? Wait for it, wait for it. You guys know what the name of this one is? This stuff gets bulldozed on the continent. It's here in San Francisco, the most predominant rock type in San Francisco. It's called, what's that? No, not serpentine. That's another rock type. We're not going to get there. It's called greywackies. Greywackies is the most predominant rock type in San Francisco. And so when you want to come up later and look at this stuff here is greywackies. And if you want, I'll talk to you about serpentine or serpentinite later on. So, actually, can you do me a favor? This stuff is getting bulldozed over here. Okay, you can pull that. And let's stop right there. And also, it turns out, if this, I don't know if this makes sense over here, so you got your shirt on the bottom, right? It turns out that every once in a while, I'm going to use my same syringe system over here. Sometimes you'll have something break through the surface of the ground over there and set up a hydrothermal vent. So you'll get some hot water and other junk land on the top over there. And then that stuff gets covered by, does that make sense? You get some hot fluid, it's called, if you find it in the bottom of the ocean, it's called a black smoker. It'll actually shoot material and it'll go all over the place in a football field, 2 football field size area, or maybe even more than that. It'll lay on the bottom, but eventually that'll get covered over by the chert, and we can keep bulldozing that along. It turns out that in Marin, if you look over here, there was a chert that was laying down on the ocean floor. A hydrothermal vent popped through this stuff, spewed out a bunch of stuff to make that black layer there, and then eventually that faded away, and then more chert on top of it. Make sense? So that black material over there is this stuff, and I'll talk to you more about this stuff in a second, but I will tell you, the black stuff over here is represented by, you see these layers inside of here? It's represented by that little black line over there. But here are the layers of the ocean. This is bulldozed on the continent of North America, and if I do a cross-section of it, you can tell, what does it look like over there? Can you guys tell what it looks like over there? I'll give you a hint. It's a big mess. Can you guys see any features in there? Okay. Well, actually what happens is it gets bulldozed on the continent. Here in San Francisco, it's called the Franciscan Formation. All these layers make this formation called the Franciscan Formation. You can actually move that mountain range out of the way. Franciscan Formation. And over here, a lot of the stuff is just mixed up. It's called a melange. Anybody speak French? What does melange mean? A big mix. So all the stuff is mixed up over here, a big mess. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in. So pretend you got a magnifying glass. We're zooming in from there over to here. That's amazing, isn't it? So this is the zoomed in version of that. Okay. So let's pretend this is the ocean floor. The sediments are laid flat on the ocean floor. This is North America, and it bulldozes into the sediments. And can you see what happens to the sediments over there? And the material that's on the ocean floor, it gets folded and it gets faulted onto the continent. So here in San Francisco, let me see that. Pretty cool. Oh, by the way, you see that black layer there? That's that black layer over there. And here's the other side. Thank you very much. So, but not only that, but wait, there's more. Ginsu knives. So it turns out that here in California, and we already ran out of our slab over there, but it turns out that not only is the continent, would you do me a favor, you want to pull this just a little bit more? Not only is the ocean going that way, and Darren's gone, I'm going to push this way. Not only is the ocean going that way, but North America is going the other way, and it turned out here in California, it turned out that North America ended up going over that spreading center. It rode over it. And that spreading center has now become, let's see if I got it on here. Oh, that's gray wackies. That's my son right there. Oh, let me show you this video first. This is how stuff is accreted on. If you ever get a chance to watch Tanya Atwater's videos, you should. So this is the subducting slab going down, scraping off the stuff on the continent over there. You can see the stuff coming off the continent. This is where the gray wackies would be. This is where the basalts and the radialytic chert comes in over there. So it turns out that the North American continent overrode that spreading center, and that spreading center, in essence, because of the overriding, ended up becoming the San Andreas fault system. And the San Andreas fault system is what, whoa, here we go. So check this out. This is 40 million years worth of history. This is the spreading center right here. And the spreading center is going to end up, relatively speaking, move towards North America. That's California, that's Nevada. Watch what happens to it. So the spreading center gets overridden. It actually makes California expand, and Nevada grows about twice as big too. And so because of North America running over this thing, scraping all that material up over there, that's why we have the rocks we have over here, and that's why we have the San Andreas Fault in this area. Make sense? Really? Okay.